In 1954, a man arrived at Tokyo Haneda Airport in Japan. When asked for his passport during a routine customs inspection, officials were a little baffled. His passport looked authentic, but it was issued by a country called Taured, a nation that did not exist. This week, the Jackalopes will explore the Man from Taured.
This week's episode of Jackalopes Explore is brought to you by Cloud Peak Center Lanes and Games, located at 1520 Coffeen Avenue in Sheridan. Stop in today to check out their amazing new arcade and prize counter, offering games and prizes for all ages and skill levels. From their full-service lounge to bowling alley and arcade, there is something for everyone. Cloud Peak Center Lanes and Games. Stop in today.
I'm Floyd Whiting.
I'm not from Taured.
I'm Steve Sisson.
I'm Emmy Whiting. I have no idea what we're talking about today.
And we are your
Perfect.
Jackalopes. We are four friends who discuss conspiracies, the paranormal, ancient mysteries, and the supernatural. Now, officials at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, in Japan, showed this individual a map and pointed to Andorra. He became frustrated and claimed that Taured had existed for over 1,000 years in that very location. He had travel documents and stamps showing prior visits to multiple countries, including Japan, and all of it seemed very legitimate. Now, suspicious, Japanese authorities detained him at a nearby hotel overnight just until they can get everything figured out. And 2 guards were even posted at his door.
And he was on the 15th floor, no balcony.
And the 15th floor, no balcony. The next morning, the man had vanished without a trace. There were no signs of escape, and his documents had reportedly disappeared right alongside him. Is this a slip into a parallel universe?
And a slip back.
And a slip back? Did nature correct itself? Aaron, what are the details?
So, you gave the 30,000-foot version of it. But so he shows up. Yeah, passport looks legitimate. But country doesn't exist. We've got a map of where he says the country was. And it's right between Spain and France, essentially. And he's like, there it is. He's like, here. And they're like, no.
Just a little thing.
With the circle and the arrow.
Again.
Yeah, the circle,
With the circle and the arrow.
You can't see the circle without the arrow.
Just in case you missed the red
It's
circle.
right.
So
Listen, I've worked in customer service before. I know they need the circle and the arrow.
both, right? Maybe we'll put that on the thumbnail too, because that's always fun. But so it was the Andorra region, essentially. Come to find out, he disappears. All these things happen. Well, that's the story, and it was written about in a 1980 paranormal book. So before the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the internet got a hold of it, everything kind of changed. Because
Wildfire, baby.
there were stories out there that the guy existed. He didn't disappear. He actually was in country because he was a spy.
Mm-hmm.
That he was actually from a region in Africa, and he was in Japan to recruit people to come and help them with their missions and things, and that he was actually convicted in a Japanese court in 1960, I believe. And during the trial, when he found out he was going to jail for a year, he had smuggled glass in with him and actually tried to kill himself in court.
Wow.
Right? There's no existence of that story. There's no... In doing deep dives into this thing, there was nothing that proved that he showed up, had a fake passport, da-da-da. They put him in a hotel, and he disappeared. There was also no proof that he went to court and tried to kill himself and that he did any jail time. So the more I started going, okay, well, I watched some other videos and they were like debunking this story of him being a time traveler and whatever. There's no proof that he wasn't. There's no proof that he ever existed at all, that this even ever happened. So he claimed, I'm here on business. I've come through several times. He has a Korean wife, speaks multiple languages, very well dressed, business dude. Disappears out of a room. All his documents disappear. And then there's other stories. Well, no, he went to court, was in prison, or got out for time served because his detainment was longer than whatever the prison sentence was going to be. He tried to kill himself. No, he didn't. There's no proof of any of it. So did the man from Taured, was he a time traveler? Was there a time slip where that region actually was the place that he said it was? Because supposedly in the story, he was horribly confused. It had been there for thousands of years. Or did the story ever even happen?
Right. Yeah.
But it's such an internet sensation that nobody really knows. So I kind of went through and found other time travel people. So one was Rudolph Fentz, New York, 1950, right around the same time. Victorian clothing. He was struck by a car in Times Square. He had coins and documents from the 1800s, all in pristine condition. A search revealed Rudolph Fentz had disappeared without a trace in 1876. Then we have Charlotte Ann Movery and Eleanor Jourdain, I guess. They're in Versailles, 1901. Two English academics visited Versailles and claimed that they experienced a vivid time slip. So they said that they saw people dressed in 18th century clothing, again, your favorite.
I love that, yeah. Yep.
And encountered Marie Antoinette herself.
Oh.
They actually published this in a book, An Adventure, detailing all of their claims. Many believe that it was a shared hallucination. Because that happens.
Yeah.
That's my shadow man.
We'll just share it.
Yeah.
We'll just share it like a bag of cookies,
Maybe they shared a bag of
Some people
special
don't share
cookies.
their bags of cookies. Some people just have them all to themselves.
Then we've got the Green Children of Woolpit. Two children appeared in a village speaking an unknown language, both with green skin. Aliens.
Yeah.
Claimed that they came from a place called St. Martin's Land, where everything was green and always twilight. The boy died, but the girl eventually adjusted and lost her green tint.
Okay, wait. When was this again?
That was in 12th century England.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
So she ripened.
Yes. 1941, time traveling hipster. A photo from a book in South Fork Bridge in British Columbia shows a man in modern clothes, sunglasses, holding what looks like a digital camera.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theorists dubbed him the hipster time traveler. And we kind of covered a guy this that was at the JFK
Yeah, I remember that.
shooting.
But I
photo,
will say that like a majority of these stories have actually been debunked. The hipster time traveler, and I know a lot of dejectors are not going to like me saying this. Everything that is on him,
was at the time
was readily available.
Yeah,
he was a hipster,
Yeah.
like for the time.
Yeah, but
sure.
he was a hipster before hipsters.
Right.
So I mean,
he was a hipster before it was cool.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I mean,
You know those guys.
Yeah.
the part that always bothered me is I always I never really felt that photograph of the time traveling hipster had any credibility, because when I look at it, I don't see anything out of time.
Do we have a picture of that? I've never seen that. I don't think.
What? Oh,
we can
do
find one and
somewhere.
insert it.
Yeah.
That
won't
after.
help you.
Yeah, I was like, thanks.
I'll find it right now
Yeah.
for
Okay,
you.
thank
But
All you got to do is just Google the time traveling hipster, but the thing of it is everything on him actually was readily
Right.
available.
Yeah, there's been some things of like people or like old film footage, like looks like they're holding a cell phone and stuff like that.
Right,
But
right. But
you-
then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, Panasonic actually had this model of that
Yeah.
available at that time.
Yeah, there's even one in National Lampoon's Vacation where they pull up and they get the directions and they're stripping the car while he's getting the directions. Yeah, there's the hipster.
that dude. So then we've got Air Marshal time slip.
Got some blue blockers in.
So, right? 1994, British Air Marshal Sir Victor Goddard it's a sir, so you got to trust what this guy's saying.
Yep.
Described a 1935 flight over a disused airfield in Scotland that, during the flight, appeared fully operational with new planes and workers in uniforms going about their business. He returned years later, and it matched exactly what he had seen before it was built.
He glimpsed into the future.
He glimpsed into the future. Internet time traveler claimed to be from the year 2036 on a mission to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer.
I remember that one.
Posted detailed messages online predicting civil unrest at alternate timelines. His writing sparked intense speculation and remains a cornerstone of modern internet time travel theory. Liverpool, England, in the 50s. Again,
A lot of
What's up
stuff
with
in
the 50s?
Yeah.
seriously, maybe we need to look into that.
And like
Yeah.
the
It crossed right
dimensions
there.
merged.
Yeah.
That's
like a railroad
it's
crossing
weird.
or
I
some
guess
shit.
when I was looking through this before, I wasn't really paying attention to the time
Starting
frame
to see
of
a
these.
pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like in Back to the Future, where it's that specific date in
1955.
1955. Yeah.
Right. Maybe
Where
there's
he
more
thinks,
to
well, maybe
that.
that's like the crossroads of all
Right.
of it, or it's just a big coincidence.
People bought items from shops that didn't exist, returned to the present or to the physical location, and they weren't there anymore. It's a well-known hotspot in Liverpool of alleged time slips. Then France, 1979. Two English couples traveling to France found an odd hotel with antique furniture and old-fashioned service. They liked it so much that they returned a year later. The hotel never existed, and locals said that it hadn't been there in decades.
Wow.
The idea of time travel, I think, is so appealing because what does it give us? Gives us opportunity.
Yeah, like the big
Right.
do-overs.
I get a second chance, lost love or whatever. But it's, even though it's like, well, yeah, but time travel hundreds of years, not for a lost love. Yeah, but it's still the idea of the second chance. People from the future give us a sense of, well, what's it going to be like? Because we're also curious what's over the
there is a
horizon.
future.
Or
Right.
is there a future?
Right.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to parallel universes and the actual viability of that kind of stuff, there's solid evidence, not proof by any means, okay, but solid evidence and theoretical mathematics that show parallel universes probably exist.
See, and I think that's when people talk time travel, we're not building a machine and dialing it up and pulling the switch and going to 1950, apparently. I think it's that. I think
Slipping into an alternate universe.
And that's so everybody.
Well,
the
I
guy,
hate this one. Let's just.
Yeah, right. But the guy,
Yeah, how do you make that happen?
they're
Yeah.
like, the guy didn't exist. It's an internet sensation story. It was BS, whatever. But could it have just been? The dude showed up, and Japan exists in his universe, whatever, but so does Taured. And he's like, yeah, right here, man. This is where I'm from. And they're like,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist. And he's like, yes, it does. Look at my freaking passport. And he goes to the hotel, and whatever that is, all of a sudden, boop, he's back to, and in that universe, they probably open the door and they're like, oh, yep, you're
There you
fine.
are. Yep.
Free to go.
Why are you here?
Here's your stamp.
Yeah, where'd you come from?
Shows up and a dude's in a gimp outfit, just sitting there on the bed.
Yeah, it's back to normal
Hey.
now.
Didn't
Yeah.
know this room was taken. Gonna go. It's the idea of parallel universes and being able to split off. I think is something that when it comes to quantum physics, they actually see something very plausible. But it's how do we get there? What do we do? I've talked about before about like an alleged alien interview where they said we're not from another planet, we're from another universe, and they're like, well, why do you keep coming to ours? And they said because it's stable. And that's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
very rare. Maybe there is a species out there that understands this a little bit more, who has the technology to do it. And we've explored this in the past as well. What if it's something that they can naturally do? Or even a species that may not have like overall sentience like a human being, a human thought. and they just naturally like Bigfoot.
Mhm.
You know, to Bigfoot, he's walking through the forest one day, and all of a sudden he sees this group of these little tiny apes that wear clothes, and he's like, "Oh, I don't like that." So he starts trucking the other way.
He's
with,
like clothes.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, but it just
They're not naked.
doesn't understand that he's slipped in and out.
Yeah, and it seems like it always happens accidentally. At least all of
Right.
those, like none of those seem
Yeah.
like they were trying to do what happened.
Yeah,
Right.
and so
But have you ever had that though? Like where you have gone somewhere and you're like, I don't remember that being here, or
Mhm.
I remember that thing being here and now it's not.
I've had it where I'm like, I haven't ever seen that before. You know, like
Yeah.
even just small things like the coffee maker we've had for forever. I was like, why does this say clean on it? Because it says clean, like digital
and we've had
clean.
it for a while.
And I was like, why does it say clean on it? He's like, it's always said that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's a clean option.
Well, there's the whole like Mandela effect. That's
Yeah.
that's a similar thing where you vividly remember something a certain way, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's never been that way."
Yeah.
Right.
And so-
Deja vu. Oh my God, deja vu. I have my own theory about deja vu, but it sometimes really messes with you, especially when it goes on for way too long. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Yes. Yeah. Like a brief moment of it is
Yeah.
okay, but the longer it goes, the more uncomfortable.
I know.
I like to call it deja vu. So it's just David his own juices.
Ooh.
It's delicious.
or if you're actually at an event that you've never been before and you have no memory of it, it's Ujade.
Okay, yeah, I like
I
that.
like it.
I've never been here before. I'm having some Ujade.
So it's all new.
It's all
Did
new.
you see that,
All the
that
time.
face that guy had? That face? That's my face
Mhm.
right now.
No, I think the multidimensional thing makes a lot more sense than
Mhm.
time traveling in this universe.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
most of the theories with time travel within this universe, you're not moving through space. But if that's the case, then when you arrive, Earth is not where Earth is now. So if you travel, 100 years in the future, Earth is gone.
And that's something that no time travel stories ever address.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're saying, okay, well, I'm not going to move from this space, okay, because now we got to start thinking in terms of physics, and space and placement is a huge part of that.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to move from this space. The Earth is like it's kind of like a pilot fish, which I'm really glad that the internet kind of produced this new 3D image of our solar system. The sun is a traveling baseball, and around that baseball are other little tiny like pilot fish, and
Yeah,
those are
just
the planets,
swirling around
and
it,
we're
yeah.
just swirling around. We're
Yeah,
moving
the
quite
sun isn't
fast.
stationary.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we're not in one spot.
Everything's moving.
Yeah.
We are traveling like really fast, right, through
Yeah.
our own galaxy.
Well, even just the sun, the Earth's orbit around the sun is like 66,000 miles an hour. Just that orbit.
Yeah. So unless you were, and that orbit, I imagine, is probably somewhat inconsistent, even though that might not be measurable within a year.
Mhm.
It may be measurable within 1,000,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, the sun's mass is changing, so the orbit has to be changing by tiny little amounts over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could travel time. So, yes, I've changed the time that I was in this space, but no one ever addresses the fact that the space that you're in isn't
It's
going to be
gone.
there
Yeah.
when you arrive at this particular time.
The only way,
Well, it's time to go back and boop. Oh,
And you're- yeah.
there's nothing.
All of a
You're
sudden,
just
you're
floating in space.
Yeah, you're Arnold Schwarzenegger on Mars. Your eyes popping out of your head, and that's that.
The only way you could possibly explain that would be to say if you retain the momentum you have right now as you're traveling through time, because then you would continue on that same path. But I don't think that works, because if you're traveling through time, I think everything is
Changed.
disassociated
Yeah.
with you.
Mhm.
And with
You're
the
completely-
variable changing, it's like you can't
Yeah,
predict it to like type it into a time machine.
you've
you
got to
know?
be plucked out of that current
Mhm.
location and put back. And yeah, I just don't think that within the own universe, that's the biggest problem with
Yeah.
time
But
travel.
see, time is so mysterious and relative to each and every one of us, which I feel like time is something that is very hard to study. You know, how do you really study time outside of, okay, well, we have set watches. You
Mhm.
carry a watch, I'll carry a watch, and we'll see if there's a difference. And they have done that. I mean, that's kind of how they figured out when you fly, especially internationally, time is different for you than it is for me.
I'm pretty sure time is sped up in the refrigerator, like the refrigerator.
Yes.
Right? Because all your
Yeah,
produce
totally.
is like bad by the time you look at it again.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
definitely.
and time.
It's just a time slip.
It's like you're trying to catch the light turning off, but instead you're trying to catch the time slip.
Yes.
You're like,
catch the tomato going bad
Yes, the
overnight.
difference in the rate of-
Son of a bitch.
I knew it. I knew it. Crisper drawer my ass.
And that is completely offset by the time in like doctors' waiting rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Which goes a lot slower than normal.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Like, I really do think that that's a parallel dimension where it's like, God, it's only been 5 minutes. and you
Yeah, right.
didn't
Yeah.
And
Just
then
watch the whole
I
episode
can't
of
look at
Parks
this
and Rec.
exploded view of the knee any longer.
well, then they have signs up. Don't be on your cell phone. It's like, I'm going to be on my
Yeah.
cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
gonna
playing
be
a video game.
scrolling, I'm going to be doing something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My whole thing with this is so there's been a couple of great episodes of guys that I watch that were like total debunk, BS. Okay, well, let me go look for the proof of that.
Right.
There's really no proof of that.
No, yeah. Well, and okay, so quantum mechanics and the many worlds interpretation was proposed by Hugh Everett III in 1957. So this isn't a new concept.
50s.
50s.
Like a little later in the 50s. But
Now, he suggested that
I wonder if it was spurred on by all this stuff. Like,
And
you're
maybe-
reading newspapers going, what the hell's going on? And then this guy's like, I'm going to sit down and
figure it
figure
out.
this out.
It suggests that every single decision that you make, every random quantum event, okay, this is quantum event, splits the universe as it goes forward.
okay. Yeah.
So we're talking like, this isn't just like, oh, I made a bad decision or a good decision, and so my universe splits off. This could be happening millions of times a day.
Just the fact that I put my arm here
boom,
instead of here.
or even
here.
or here. Even like little tiny quantum things that we don't quite understand. That particle splits for some reason. That particle goes that way for some reason. And I'm not a quantum physicist, so please forgive me, but I do
But he plays
believe,
one on YouTube.
right? But there is an object, I believe it's called a quark.
Yeah.
A quark can disappear,
Yeah, we have no idea where it goes.
and we have no idea where it goes, but it shows back up as if it never actually vanished in the first place, meaning it is still traveling through space. It is still moving wherever it goes. And now when it disappears, boop, and then boop, you know, and so it's a really, really odd thing that we don't quite understand. And another thing when it comes to when we get down to the quantum realm, and of course, everyone who's watching Marvel now, they're like, well, yeah, I understand this. But when you get down to the quantum realm is quantum entanglement. That is something that actually takes no account of time whatsoever, and we have no idea why. It takes, you can have an object, two particles, quantum entangled, separated by the length of the entire universe.
Yep.
And when you change the direction of one, the other one will instantaneously respond despite the distance that they're separated, meaning that time means nothing, literally nothing to these little things.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating principle,
Mhm.
especially when you look at the fact that the rules can't change. If it's that way there, it kind of notes that it has to be that way up here, right?
Everywhere.
So, I mean, if these are the rules that govern the universe itself and the birth of the universe entirely, what the hell is going on and how can I manipulate that? That's why quantum computing is something that we have searched for and worked to achieve for so long, because that information processing, that's incredible. I mean, like,
Well,
new
they
level.
don't even know where the information's coming from, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that's up for debate, but yeah, I mean, some people are like, so what is this thing actually doing? And some folks are saying that it could be reaching into an alternate dimension to find this information.
Right.
Is that happening? Is that something that they know is happening and they just don't want to say it? one reason why this is such a fascinating thing to talk about is because it can link a lot of the things that we've talked about in the past. David Grush, when he went before Congress and they were like, so are these things from another planet? He's like, well, not really.
They're just non-human biologics.
So at the same time, it's like, well, what does that mean?
Okay, it types into simulation theory. Like
It totally does.
If it's a computer program or whatever it is, then you can tap things in and out just by changing the code.
And what about Project Looking Glass, when they managed to kind of get a hold of some alien technology, and then you got a hold of some sensitive individuals, and they can look anywhere, really, through any time. So,
see, that's why when all these other people were like, "Oh, debunk," and like they're good conspiracy people, I'm like, I'm not.
The story had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Where's the root?
And who makes that up? Where they're like, "Torrid." So it's here between Spain and France. Like,
yeah, you look at the whole origin of that story, and even in like a debunk frame, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Still.
But that's why I'm like, that makes sense to me. What if he was the Quark?
Yeah.
You know,
Popped in, popped out.
All the rest of the stuff's the same, unless they had another map, and he's like, "What the hell's that?"
Right.
Well, just because there's no documentation doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I mean, look, if something's bullshit, I say we call it. But at the same time, it's really easy, and we've seen the government do this. If world governments are like, we can't let them know that this is a thing, I want you to destroy every piece of documentation.
Get all those torrid maps. And
You see what I'm saying? But like, I want everyone who was there and who dealt with this individual to be told that they didn't
happen.
I want all of this to happen. You can erase somebody really quick. They've tried to do it to Bob Lazar. They try to erase you, and they can get it done. So who knows where the story actually came from? If it comes from even just a sliver of truth, and then somebody just kind of like, well, we'll just fill the rest with speculation, which a lot of people do. You know, I took a little bit of truth and we just build up on it into a fantastic story that I can have published into a sci-fi.
Telephone, you know,
or a game of telephone.
Oh man, there's this guy who said he was from here, and then the next guy, I saw the passport, and the next guy is like, he disappeared from the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then it just kind of keeps building and building and building
And
until it's this fantastic tale.
When I hear about it, the main thing I think about is like some sort of mental illness. But then we get to how he's got a passport. Because it's like, I could say I'm from anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, so
but the passport is what threw me off. I
With
was like,
stamps.
well,
with stamps.
That he had traveled to other countries.
Yeah.
And even some from other embassies
Mm-hmm.
in Japan.
Yeah.
But the crazy part about it is, so no documentation. There's no official documentation that it ever happened at all. It was probably a real incident that got exaggerated over time, like most things. Parallel universe, he slipped into the reality, or he was purposefully time traveling.
Or he was a spy.
Yeah, I was going to say a spy.
Well,
a legitimate
So there's
and
spy.
then he disappeared.
Yeah.
you know, talk
quote
about
unquote.
splitting off stories. There's a story about him that they ended up convicting him because of the falsified documentation, but he was also trying to pass off bad checks in Japan. That he was a spy, that and it's like, that's all great. It's the same level of conspiracy as anything else. That it was actually a time traveler, because it doesn't exist.
Or one of my favorite things that pops into my head, he's like, I'm going to make this fake passport, see how many stamps I can get.
See how far I can get before somebody goes, where the hell is Torrid?
And then I'll stand on big business and say that it's real. And y'all are crazy.
Yeah,
because most of those guys are probably like,
whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, you
At
think
that
of
time.
Japan, 1957.
Well, anywhere at that time.
and think about that.
I can't just Google it.
What exactly? They're going to a map. They're like, we've never heard of this place. And how many people were like,
I've heard of every country in the world.
I've been there. You know, and you're like, stamp.
I don't feel like I don't know anything. So.
Absolutely.
You're a TSA agent, right? Somebody shows up with a passport from Tonga, and you're like, okay. I mean, right? It looks legit. It's got holographic stuff in it, whatever.
There's
and
no
you're
database.
like,
There's no nothing to check. Like you're just
You
like,
just have to
okay,
go-
yeah.
do I know the name of all 190 countries?
No, I
No.
don't. Absolutely not.
Especially if it's anything associated with Africa. 'Cause you never know.
Mhm.
A
Yeah,
new
it
one
changes.
can
And it
pop up
changes all the
tomorrow.
time. The old Eastern Bloc countries that
Yeah.
went away.
Yeah.
I mean, if you...
You want a Slavia? Here's a Slavia. There's a Slavia. Like, there a lot of things
But how
change
would you
really
know?
quickly.
Especially in the 50s.
Right.
I think with
maybe that's it. Maybe he was just like,
Let's see what I can get away
That's where my
with.
mind goes, and I just think that's a really funny theory.
I
Where
like
he's
that
just-
story
yeah,
the best.
where
I
he's-
think nowadays TSA agents have that computer right there, and they can Google
Well,
it's
stuff. and
scanned.
look
Yeah,
at
those
it's like
things,
TSA has
now it's
everything now.
automated.
Yeah, and
you
there's
know?
RFID stuff in the passports,
Yeah.
so there's more data than what's right there.
Mhm.
But yeah, 1957 Japan, somebody who, probably hasn't traveled the entire world over, and they're just, go by, go by. Now think about that in a lot of different countries that this individual could have gone to first just to get that stamp,
right.
where it's like, I need to show
I need this to look legitimate.
that I've gone to a lot of different countries. So first I want you to fly me here, 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 and here. I'll get some stamps. It looks more legitimate when I show up in Japan to actually do the mission.
Mm-hmm.
It looks legit.
The crazy part about that story, though, too, is he had other Japanese stamps in there.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like it was he just caught the right guy
Yeah.
that went, I don't
Yeah.
believe that this is a
I
country,
do
sir.
know all the countries.
Unless those were all just counterfeited, like the whole thing was
Could have
counterfeited.
been. Yeah.
It could have. The whole thing could
the
have
stamps could have been
Been,
counterfeited.
yeah, the whole thing
Sure.
could have been just been made up.
I mean, I'm sure that, even back in the day, those agents were trained, like, here's a legitimate stamp. This is what it looks like. And they could even know things that we don't. Like, hey, look for the little tiny star up in the
Yeah,
corner
right.
that nobody knows about. Yeah.
Make
That
sure
could
you
be,
get your real ID, people.
yeah. That could be like a real thing, probably.
Does
I
that
just
imply that all others are fake
That's
IDs?
the thing.
It does.
I'm like, I got this from you. Why is
Right.
this not a real ID?
Yeah.
What the hell are
I
you
do
doing?
not understand, man.
It's real, but it's not real.
Oh, double
The
real.
double real.
But supposedly his passport was double real.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
For the time.
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
I like that word. I don't know. I like the story. I think you can debunk it if you want to, but I'm also here to debunk the debunking and say maybe it did happen exactly how
Yeah.
they said it did.
The evidence
Because we
is-
don't know.
It's scant evidence either way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
the thing is kind of cool about this though is if these are just the ones that got noticed,
Right.
Like think about how often this probably goes on with nobody noticing.
What if it did? We wouldn't know, would we?
Well,
Right.
that's the thing. I think about those people that went to like the hotel, for instance. What if you never went back there?
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be like,
Yeah,
oh,
there's-
that's
there's
there. That was
places
a
I've
really
been
cool spot. And
one
blah,
time.
blah, blah, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or if something like this is occurring at such a frequency that our memories are better than what we know.
Maybe.
But-
yeah.
In nature, everything splits off and we all go different directions without knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife and I, maybe the, original Emmy that I started with could be in universe number blah,
yeah,
blah, blah,
who
blah, blah.
knows?
Mm-hmm.
But because
it
we
could
made certain decisions
AI.
and we've shot off into a whole nother universe.
Bring that guy's face back up.
But you see what I'm saying? Where the Mandela effect could be evidence that this is happening so frequently
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't ever noticed it in history because it's little. Well, he didn't remember where the place was,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Right.
I could have swore that mill was right there
Mhm.
because I used to swim in the water next to it.
Mhm.
Why is it not there now? Well, because he unknowingly happened to have gone into a different,
Yeah.
timeline, dimension, whatever. What if that was the case? I mean, really think about that. What if that happens, not just in the realm of like physically, but mentally and spiritually? That's happening to you all the time, where you're constantly, in the military, they have Singar's radios, and Singar's frequency hop thousands of
Oh, yeah.
times,
Mhm.
thousands of times. So you can't track what I'm saying. And the two radios are synced together so that we can frequency hop
Quantum
together.
entangled.
Yes.
So what if that's happening on a a quantum level? What if we're all quarks? What if that's happening so quickly, so fast, so much that we don't realize that, not only is it happening, but you guys, your consciousness it grew up doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It only knows this, and it's jumping universes like a frequency all the time. And even though you think, oh, my memory is bad. No, no, it wasn't.
Yes, it is. I walk into a room and I'm like, where am I?
That's okay. When you start saying, who am I? That's the problem.
Well, who knows? Walking through a doorway could be a symbolic multi-universe jump. Pop,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
what is a doorway other than a time machine?
It's a portal.
I'm just saying, like, we would never know.
Right.
And there's no way for science to nail that down.
No, you can't prove it
So,
or disprove it.
Yeah, 'cause it all works within that same system. So there's no way
it's
of viewing it from outside that system.
What if it's a law of nature and you literally cannot observe it? You can't objectively step back and watch everybody in all existence frequency hop through these multiple realities. You wouldn't know.
Right.
And what if the aliens are like, this is crazy, but we figured out how we
know how to do this.
How we can actually do it, artificially, whereas you guys are doing it naturally.
Yeah.
Who knows? And so when science fails, where do we go? Spirituality. So when you look at various meditations that are done throughout the world, and people have these amazing out-of-body experiences, and if you've ever seen like a master meditate, and I'm talking like monks, individuals who dedicate their lives, they're not there.
Right.
Now, what the weird thing is as you begin to meditate, you start to learn that they are, though. They are more there than you are.
Right, yeah.
It's the idea of actual presence and living within the moment. What if there is and there is, I know that there is, a fundamental secret of the universe within that moment? Time actually means nothing at all. And maybe that's why it's so irrelevant. We've just made it relevant. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, it's relative to me.
Right.
My time is different than your time.
Yeah, and we have a fascination with it because we don't control it. We are being pushed through it and can't stop it.
Whether you want to or not, right?
Well, and at a very basic level, it's like dog years, right?
Yeah.
1 year for us is 7 dog years.
Yeah.
Because they age quicker and die sooner. So
a minute for them is forever. That's why they're so excited to see it.
That's why when I walk out the door, I go dink around in the garage for 10 minutes. I come back and they're like, "Hey,
oh my gosh,
it's
I
been
can't
over an
believe
hour."
You're here.
But
and that's why when you catch them shredding the papers and stuff, they stand over there and they don't realize that you're scolding them about it because that was so long ago.
Right. Get over it, man. Get past, dude. What? Too soon? But it's relative that way because you're like, okay, well, you only get 12 summers with your dog, so take your dog to the park, and for a ride. But
give them lots of treats.
It's so different for them than it is for us.
Yeah.
But that's how we've scaled it to make sense. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter.
Think about being a fly. Now, when I was a little kid, I used to try and get a fly, right? With your hand. And I used to think to myself, okay, so I'm super fast, right? I'm super fast. And I don't understand why I can't get this fly. It's because I'm super fast to me, but to the fly, I'm like, because to the fly, he's like looking up going, man, this guy's taking forever to get here. I'm out, And
are you gonna squash me or what?
Yeah. Is this gonna happen? Come on, bro. She left me. I don't care. Just do it. But you see what I'm saying? Like time, totally different to something that's small as opposed to something that's large.
Yeah.
When you think about giants walking down the street, and we always slow them down in films and television, because I'm big now, so I'm super slow. Well, that means that, but to you, you're hauling ass.
Yeah, you're normal.
You are hauling. Time is different. based on size. So maybe to the quantum universe, it's getting so small that it's just non-existent.
Yeah.
It's just so fast that it is non-existent. And if that's true, then what the hell is time, really?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure if a physicist is watching this, is probably rubbing his eyes and his head right now and just going, "You are all so wrong."
Said we were clowns. I don't know.
Maybe, could be. So, I mean, time itself and the quantum realm. When the Big Bang happened, there are physicists who believe that it's constantly happening.
Well, what
The
was
new
it? Where did it
universes
come
all the
from?
time.
Why?
Boop, boop, boop,
You know?
boop, 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 you know, and it's just spitting them out everywhere. And so, on some level, time is just beginning.
I mean, if you walked into your favorite restaurant, let's say, and you were there a week ago, and you're like, change the menu. You order something, you leave. Did they change the menu? Or did you walk into the wrong restaurant? Like, I mean, how would we
It's
know?
happened to me before. Like, remember when I got that chicken bacon ranch sandwich that they've always had? And then they gave me a salad. They were like, "We don't have a chicken bacon ranch sandwich." I thought you were talking about the salad. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" The next time we go, I order it just fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What's that?
Yeah.
What
Did
what
we
is
slip?
that about?"
And the thing of it is like, I think everybody has a story like this on some level,
Yep.
right? Like, and you know, there's a lot of ideas, especially right now, you know, the simulation theory thing. That is super hot right now.
Yeah.
That we're all just in a simulation. All of this is
Because we
BS.
are. But
It's
whatever.
but to an extent, it's the new faith. And the reason why I say that is because what is faith? I need to know that I'm going to be okay when I die.
And
because
somebody's in charge.
I'm scared. So comfort me with whatever. Well, it's the new faith. Well, I need to know that when I die, something else is going to happen. I get to go somewhere. Well, it's a simulation, so don't worry about it. You'll wake up, you'll take off your VR headset, you'll be a gray. Who knows? Maybe. But to me, that's just what it is.
That would be like a bummer.
It's
I don't
just
know.
another
That
filler.
would be a
But
bummer.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
And then all of a sudden you realize you were only at the arcade for 5 minutes and you got to go to work tomorrow.
Right.
And I've lived.
I lived that whole damn
I've
life.
lived a whole life,
It's
especially
a damn
with
time
like
thing.
Yeah.
with you.
And everybody was fake.
And
Yeah.
then I wake up and you're not there.
Yep.
That
And what would
be
I
it,
even
yeah.
do?
No idea.
See, I put myself in this guy's place, and I'm like, I get on a plane, I get off the plane, give them my passport, and they're like, America? What?
What are you
And
talking
I'm like,
Oh, I'd be like,
I'd be like, well, it's right here.
You mean New Britain? What are you talking? That's where New
right,
Britain
New
has
Britain.
always been.
But can you imagine
That'd
how
be
you
crazy.
would
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah, you would
Yeah.
think you were going insane.
You would think that you were going insane. And they're like, well, we're going to put you in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And you come out of the room, like I said, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, Taured, it's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Carry
fine.
on, sir.
You'd be like,
What just happened?
I'm
Well,
nuts.
make sure to get the circle and the
oh,
arrow.
and an arrow. It's right
And
here.
arrow.
Yeah.
Can you circle it on a map and draw an arrow? Thank you. Thank you.
Please. I'm sorry. The circle, it's not.
It's just not doing it for me.
I still can't quite figure out.
Yeah.
Can you put an arrow on there?
Now, while there actually is no proof for any of this, CERN has acknowledged that they are performing theoretical work involving extra dimensions. Purely
swear.
at a mathematical and theoretical level, but CERN has come forward and said, we are testing to see if this is real. What happens at CERN, you know, is we've had a whole show on CERN and the things that they do there and the possibilities.
Happens at certain stages.
Well, see,
And affects the entire universe.
does it?
Stay at
Doesn't. I mean, we've had discussions where like some people feel that we are like in a completely alternate dimension, that CERN created a black hole, and yet somehow nature corrected that by going, nope, let's do this. So I'm going to throw another one out there that's even more wild. CERN created a black hole. We all died. simulation had to be reset because they're like, well, they killed themselves.
And they're like, crap, that last patch, though, we took the cornucopia out of the fruit of the loom.
Who's
I
got
thought
that?
that
They
was
won't
gonna
remember.
They won't notice.
The most
Yeah.
recent backup, well, crap. There's a couple things different. It's all right.
Save
Close
file.
enough.
Just hit the save file.
Close enough.
And then maybe that's what deja vu is. It's you acknowledging the fact that you are doing something over again because something happened where you had to go back to another save file. And every video gamer out there knows that if I have to go through this world one more time. But your character
That
doesn't
was
know.
the last time I saved.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I remember that one too. So who knows? And maybe that's what deja vu is. Or maybe deja vu is exactly what some, neurologists are saying, where they're like, our brains are so amazing and so fast that you are recollecting a memory as it's being created. That is how fast the human mind is. There is no such thing as deja vu. You haven't done this. But the neuron that is being created to store the information that you are now experiencing is already being recalled.
Nah, I refuse to believe it.
But it's a great theory that
It's a great
basically
theory.
places it right here.
I think the dude was real.
Yeah.
I really do.
I don't know, but I do. I know I've talked about my own theory on deja vu, but
Yes.
it's just basically like, I think when you get deja vu, you died at that moment, and your consciousness went to another universe
Yeah.
With filled in.
continue.
I think like
Yeah.
Save file.
going
Yeah.
back to like when you take off the VR headset when this level's all done. And you're like, oh man, all that was fake. But you'll have a different level of consciousness at that point and
Right.
realize it was all just the game you were playing. And so the importance of it will change at that point, I think.
It's just Floyd standing there like with a juice box. And he's like, dude, how was it?
Was that pretty good, huh?
So cool, right?
Did you go to the concert? Did you try the drugs?
Did you try?
I told you
tried
this
the
was the
drug.
best arcade in town.
I was in prison for 10 years. It was amazing.
10 years.
At least I thought I was.
If you go jump on that one, you could be president.
Right?
That fat guy's been on it way too long.
That would be cool, actually.
Would be cool. I mean,
Listen, anyone who's listening on Spotify needs to watch on YouTube just to see
He can see that entire
my
Floyd
fake juice
an
box.
imaginary juice box.
The imaginary juice box was good.
He
My
sucked half of it down just
Yeah.
in that,
Oh,
yeah.
1 minute.
I swear I heard it.
Yep.
Watermelon passion fruit. You want one?
Yeah, you need to get hydrated, dude.
I got a locker here.
I live in the attic.
I live in the attic. I got a simulation machine up there too.
Right.
Yep.
That was private.
Yeah, that one. You don't get to look at the browser history on that one.
I call it my chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
My AI.
you would. You would.
Yes.
You know, okay, bringing it all back, putting the juice box down for a minute.
For a minute.
No matter what this is, this existence that we're in, I honestly feel that the things that we're taught by like true spiritual leaders are probably the best way to live your life. Compassion, helping others, and trying to make a world a better place than you found it. And that's done through, little simple things in everyday life. So again, the Buddha once said, he had people leave him because he wouldn't tell them what heaven was like. And they're like, well, I need to know where I'm going after this. And I don't need to tell you the weather outside to save you from a burning house fire. You don't stand there and look at a fireman and go, well, I could escape this place, but it's raining.
Right.
I don't like the rain.
It's windy.
It doesn't matter what comes next. No matter what. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if it all goes dark. It doesn't matter if it's an entire simulation. If you are kind, compassionate, and you help people, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you be a human and be kind to people. Cruelty is not a flex, and it never will be. It's disgusting, and it has no place in this world. And yet we see it every
All the
day.
time.
Mhm.
And that is the only reason why I hope hell does exist
For them.
for them.
Well-
Other than that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's a heaven. Doesn't matter if I'm staring at a wooden box for the next 1,000 years before my eyes completely
No,
fall.
we're getting cremated.
No, so you will.
She
staring
wants
at
me in a
box.
jar.
Yeah, it'll
That's
be a
why.
shorter amount of time you're staring at the box.
Yeah.
I'm with her forever, guys. You have no idea. She's gonna wear me.
Blink, blink twice if you're in trouble.
It's like, what's that necklace made of? Floyd.
And you'll never see your AI again.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
So do you think that this dude exists?
I think the root of the story came from something, and a great storyteller got a hold of it. That's what I think. What that root was, who knows? But as you said, didn't show up until 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
in a book.
Yeah.
That's
So-
quite a while.
So that's, geez, that's a lot of years, man. That's a lot of, if it is a story, it's a lot of mouths that it went through to reach the individual.
I'm going to say yes. And my theory is that it was all fake. And he's like, I wonder how many countries I can go
love that
to.
one.
That's my
that one's
favorite
actually
version
kind
it.
of fun. Yeah.
I
Like,
love that one.
where he's just a spy and he's like, let's see how many I can
Not even
slip
a spy.
past.
He's
you
just
know?
a normal person.
Just a guy
he's
got
like,
bored. Yeah.
he's like, I hate my life. Let's go see what I can do
Yeah.
with it. You know?
If you could travel and pull a con on all
Yeah.
the governments of the world,
Absolutely.
why not?
Yeah.
Why, even if it's just a little something private.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just for fun.
And no matter what, when they tell you Taured doesn't exist, stick to your
Yeah,
guns.
freak out.
Freak out.
What about you?
I like your idea the best. I think that's the most fun. The catch me if you can kind
Yeah.
of thing. Just see how far away you can go with it. And
Great movie.
I think that's the most fun one. The most plausible one is actually the multi-dimensionist, I think. That he just kind of slipped in and slipped out. And because there would be so many different dimensions. And there is one where everything's the same except the Kit Kat doesn't have the dash on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Something small.
something small like that would be the difference. So that's the most plausible one, I think.
And you buy the whole thing?
I'm with Steve on this one. Weirdly.
You're
You guys really?
Y'all are weird.
This is a different dimension.
Speaking of alternate dimensions,
For
we're
real.
now in the one where you
Never
both
happened.
agree.
Never happened.
That
Floyd
is
might
odd.
have agreed before,
Right.
But never you. and
No,
I.
but I think that's exactly it. He bopped in. He was just doing his thing, going, "Yeah, man,"
Mhm.
and popped out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's highly plausible.
And I think it lends some credibility that he was just a regular dude.
Right.
Yes.
I've been here.
He had no
10,000,
idea.
you know? Yeah.
Like he didn't know.
So who knows? Now, I think, even conspiracy theorists and scientists alike can agree on something, which is very, very rare. And that is,
did.
well,
I just watched it happen in real time. I feel uncomfortable. I would like to leave. No.
but there's multiple dimensions. Everything that they've kind of found so far proves that it's true. Is evidence that it's true.
Right.
Let me use the proper terminology. So who knows? This one day I would like to have proof as opposed to just evidence that, this really happens.
The thing is, though, to get that proof, you've got to be pulled out of the system you're in.
You got to be objective.
You got to be
right?
taken out of the matrix.
And by that time, it's too late. Once you take that pill, there's no putting you back in.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So who knows? You've been watching Jackalopes Explore.
Or have you?
What dimension are you?
What I
in? Let
actually
me
meant
know.
to say was he's a spy that got caught.